everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am going to do a really simple one today that is so obvious, but it looks so delightful. And what we're going to do is basically just follow the line. You're going to start, so I'm starting on a larger page. This one is about 6 inches across by 6 inches across because I really wanted to have a little room to play with this to show you guys. What I'm going to do is draw a wavy, silly line on the edge of the page. Now I like a thicker line, and then I'm going to do a thinner line after that, and I'm going to follow this line, and I'm going to do it on the corner, the edge, the edge, the edge, and go all the way around, and then do the same, the next layer in, and then the next layer in, and the next layer in. So it creates kind of a portal of folded plates. And this is one of those where precision matters, but yet you're doing so many lines that when you make a mistake, you're not going to notice it because there's so many lines on the page. But I find it to be so simple and also just so impactful, so dramatic. And as always, adding a little bit of shading between the layers is going to really make it pop. Okay, so here's my first plate. Now I'm going to draw my next plate. I'm using a thicker pen and then a thinner pen again. And I find this stroke, this pattern, to be really nice for kind of like an art therapy or a meditative art, because you just settle your brain into it. You just go with the lines and relax. Just like driving down the road, you're just following the road over and over and over, and once you've filled a section, you just do it again. Just wash and repeat. So you can see I'm rushing and my space is not uniform at all, but I think you're gonna find, since there's so many lines, that that one flaw does not make a big difference. So when you make a mistake, don't give up, just keep going. Don't be a judge until it's completely done. And sometimes when you make a mistake, it will lead you into a whole new direction that you had never planned, as long as you are present and willing to dance with it. It's a nice metaphor for life, isn't it? Okay, I am going, now see, that was a mistake that I didn't like. And I was going to connect it to this one, but I'm going to double it back, and I'm actually going to make it a little bit thicker to try and hide that bobble, which will probably look good. I'll probably go back and make all of these lines dramatically thick like that. So this would be an example. I made a mistake and now I'm going with it, and I have a whole different element than I intended. I'm adding some thicker points on all my lines, or at least some of them. Oop, that was a bobble too. All right, so here we are. We're going to keep dancing. We're not going to give up. Okay, so that's a nice start. Now we're going to go down to level 2 and we're going to add shading. So if this is on top, then this is creating a shadow down below, and we're going to add a nice dark spot where that shadow is. But same principle, we're just going to start with a thick line, follow the line until it's full. And if you want to get fancy, this is pretty spaced out, and then every time we go in, we can get our lines closer and closer together, and even move down to a smaller pen to create a visual story that makes sense. Okay, so I have 2 plates here on top of a lower plate, so I can add some shadowing to kind of make it make sense. Think about if you were looking at this during maybe 10 a.m. on a bright sunny day. So now I'm gonna have to make a storyline. Do I want this to visually go around? When do I think that this half would show up under this rock? And I think I'm gonna make it go like that. And try and ease the two together and hope for the best. So you're starting to see it? See how it pulls together? Now this would be a great pattern to add to a zen-tangle drawing or a meditative drawing mixed with a bunch of other patterns, because it's such a good large space filler. And it would be such an easy way to control your lights versus your darks, because it all depends how close you put those lines together and how big of a space you're doing this repetitive line. So if you find that your drawing is just getting a little too intense, a little too heavy on the pattern, this might be a nice way to ease into something a little bit more calm, a little bit more neutral, middle tone of texture. Okay, I'm going to treat this the same way I did with that, where I'm going to take the spacing and make it tighter and tighter as I go closer to the back. Another thing I'm going to do is, as my spaces are going in, these started out really big, and I'm going to intentionally make them a little bit smaller each time to kind of create that visual going down, down, down into the portal. Okay, so I drew a really big space and I'm not sure I like that, so I'm gonna just do a little puddle jump further back. When we make mistakes, we don't give up, we just keep moving. Now, many times in this video, I've thought that we had the space full enough, it would be a nice place to stop and either add another pattern in the center or just fill in the center with a nice solid space, maybe even just solid black. But for the purpose of this video, I like pushing these patterns to their absolute limit to see what will happen. So we are just going to keep going and keep going and keep going until there is no more space. And I'm going to start getting a little bit more creative with my shapes, because I feel like my shapes are starting to get too simple. And that's the whole being present while you're drawing, so that you are taking in the information and then dancing with it, making decisions that are appropriate to the real-time moment. You get an idea in your head, but it doesn't work out the way you think it's going to. And the more present you are, the more ready to move when something happens, the more alive your piece will be in the end. It's really exciting to look back at a piece and think, man, that's not what I thought was going to happen at all, but I just love it. It's one of the things I love most about art, is I feel like it leaves a record of time. It records what happened during your journey. And I think it's human nature to create a rule and then to change that rule. So at this point in the game, I'm trying to keep my pen lines really close together. And I'm trying to keep from being too predictable. I don't want to just give up and finish the piece. I want to stick with what I committed, although we're getting small enough. There's not a lot of room left. Debating if I want to leave it like that, but I want to keep going. How far can I go? All right, guys, I think I'm at the very end. I think I'm at the point I need to just fill in my spaces or leave them white. What would you do? Okay, I did it. I filled in every single piece of it, and you can see how it starts out big and then it goes all the way to the middle, and the lines are getting closer and closer and closer. Did you make it to the end? Did you skip and cheat to get to the end? How far did you get? Let me know. What do you think? Would you use these in your drawings? Thanks for watching, guys. This was fun.